Welcome back to Bioengineering in Everyday Life. Last time we talked about milk and all the processing that goes into making milk. And this time we're talking about butter, milk or dairy product. But to talk about butter, we have to talk about creaming.
Stop it. Get some help.
Creaming is the separation of milk fat from the more liquid, watery layer. If you just let like fresh whole milk sit, there'll be a layer that will rise to the top, and that's the cream. If you take that cream and then you churn it, you'll get butter. But what's actually happening when you churn butter or churn
That cream.
But to talk about that, we have to talk about what cream is and what emulsions are, and what does that mean when you go from
Cream.
cream to butter. What's happening there? If you didn't know, milk is a colloid, and that means that it's one phase stably dispersed to another. In this case, it's the milk fat and proteins dispersed in water. So what happens when milk creams is that fat layer separates, or that fat content separates from the more watery layer, and it forms like a layer of just like cream on top that will sit on top. And one way to test for colloids is using something called the Tyndall effect. So if you have something dispersed in your liquid and you shine a light through it, you'll see the light scatter off of what's dispersed in the liquid. So if you just take like a laser pointer and you shine it through water, you won't see the path that the laser makes through the water. However, if you take some milk and water, which is like, just diluted milk, and you shine it through that, you'll see the laser beam because the fat particles in the milk are scattering that light towards your eyes and you're seeing it. And I'll show you what that looks like in real life using some nanoparticles that are roughly the same size as the droplets are in milk. This first solution is the nanoparticles. You can see the laser light as it's passing through. And the second solution I bring in is just water. And when I shine the laser through it, you don't see anything. You just see where it starts and where it ends at, and not the path, except maybe from the reflections off the side of the cuvette. But to make it really apparent, I place the water and then the nanoparticle solution. And you can see, you don't see the laser path in the water, but you do see it in the nanoparticle solution. And just to show it's not really affecting much, and you can see it's hitting my hand afterwards. And if you're wondering why the nanoparticle solution looks kind of pinkish or fuchsia, it's because the nanoparticles have a fluorescent dye in them and they're responding to the laser light. But how do you take that
Cream.
and turn it into that sweet artery clogging butter? Well, it has to go through a process called churning, and churning breaks up those fat droplets and lets them kind of coalesce or combine together. The physical process of churning is a phase inversion. You're taking the
Cream.
which is the fat dispersed in water, and turning it into a substance that's water dispersed in mainly fat. So you're going from the middle to the bottom right here. You're making an emulsion, but instead of water on the outside, it's water on the inside. And so your main phase is your fat, and then you have pockets of water. And that's why if you look at the composition of butter, it's fat, water, and milk solids. So that's why if you do things like clarify butter, you'll have like a bunch of like solids left over. The solid part is the milk solids. It's like the proteins in milk, like casein or lactose or other things like that. And it requires all that physical action, that churning, to create essentially a new interface. Because initially it was a water-oil interface, with water being the dominant one. But now you've completely inverted that. It's the fat being or lipids being the dominant interface. And by adding that air into it during the churning process, what you're doing is you're decreasing the surface energy. Think of it as the energy cost to make a new interface. By having a air interface between the oil and the water, which don't want to mix, that decreases the amount of energy that's needed to actually form this emulsion or this phase inversion. And you can do this all at home. All you need to do is get some like heavy
Cream.
and you shake the shit out of it. And eventually you'll start seeing it start to clump together. And that is those fat globules sticking together and starting to, aggregate. And if you keep doing that, you'll get butter. And you just have to make sure afterwards that you get the rest of like the liquid out, or the most of the liquid out, because you don't want like the buttermilk in there, because it'll cause your butter to go rancid. I also want to say that attendance was a little light on that last video, so I don't know what's going on. Have y'all overloaded yourself? Y'all taking too many classes or what? But if you want these classes to keep happening, you better show up. Next time, we're going to start talking about fermentation, and we're going to start with another dairy product, yogurt. Did you know that there are different types of fermentation? It's something to think about for next time. But anyway, my name's Dr. Craig, and this is, BioE399. I'll see y'all next time.